So I have my cup of coffee, as I often do on Friday. Friday's my favorite day because I get to eat all the time, right? There's a justification for me to eat all kinds of food. And I have with me a scone. It is a chili cheese scone that I made yesterday. And it is the recipe of the one and only Naomi Rose, the baking boss.
Hey,
Naomi,
Hey.
thank you for
good
joining us
morning.
all the way from the UK.
Oh, thank
Um,
you for having me.
Welcome to the show. Yeah, I emailed you yesterday and I said I'm about to put my scones in the oven. I have tasted them. They turned out well. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first off, introduce yourself to our viewers and our listeners because you have a very interesting story about, your life path was going one direction and you put it somewhere completely different.
Yeah, absolutely. I went from basically, it goes back to 2018. I was doing a corporate sort of 9 to 5 job. I worked in marketing, digital comms, that kind of thing. And it was a nice job. It was, turned up every day, did my job, went home again. It was fairly easy life, but I was getting bored. I wasn't feeling like I was really achieving.
Mm.
And every Saturday and Sunday, my husband and I used to walk our dog into our local town along a river. So we live on a river and have a coffee. And we thought, oh, wouldn't it be lovely to have a place of our own? And this building came available. And we went in and it had some amazing, it's about 100 years old. It had this incredible history that had been buried under the nightclub. It was a former nightclub. It was horrible, but it had all this English Art Deco history. And we're like, this has to live. It has to be restored. So we kind of went, this make a great cafe and bar. Shall we do it? And it kind of just roller coasted from there. So I went
Let me
from
stop you there. Had you ever run a restaurant, a cafe, owned a business, done anything in this realm?
no, I'd worked in a bar for about 6 months, but
Oh, well, there you
about,
go. There's experience.
that was it. And that was about 15 years before that. But no, we just like, well, what's the worst what's the worst that could happen? We could actually, learn something along the way and just go for it. We live once, so
Yeah.
True. Very true.
so yeah, we went for it, and it
And
was
so how'd that go? I mean, so you have this cafe. What was the cafe called?
Elsie May. So it's named after my grandmother because she always
Oh,
wanted to own a tea room and she just loved hosting. In fact, she was an incredible lady. She lived until the age of about 95
Oh, good for her.
and she used to look after the elderly until she was 87. And the only reason she stopped was because she lost her sight. But
Mm.
she continued to bake. She baked. She had scales called Jeeves that talked to her. It was incredible. She was just such an inspirational person that just kind of kept going and looking at the positive side of life. And it felt this place had to be named after her, really.
Oh, and so this was a
yeah.
cafe and a bar. So I'm assuming you had kind of
Yes.
had nightlife involved in it as well.
Yeah, we opened up as a cafe and bar originally. So the bar was going to, we thought gins, wines, that kind of thing. And not long after we opened, we realized that everybody wanted cocktails. So it became a cocktail bar. And it also, I'm actually a trained musician, so my background is actually music. So I was really important for us to have like live events and live music. So we used to have live jazz sessions and all this sort of thing. And then obviously we went into the COVID hokey cokey, where we
Hmm.
sort of had to open and close a lot. And during that time, I was like, I really want to get back into making bread because we did cakes and scones, and that was one of the things about the cafe was we baked everything ourselves. So my team loved baking as well, so it was like our thing. And scones we became really well known for. And I was like, let's give bread a go. So we started baking for the cafe, and we realised that people were really enjoying it. They kept going, where do you get your bread from? I'm like, well, we make it. Well, can we buy it? Well, we in our kitchen at the cafe, we had a range oven. We had a home oven. That's what we worked on. We were simple. We had simple setup because we're simple
Right.
people, and it worked perfectly well for us. So like, well, why do we crowdfund the bakery? And people, the local community can invest, and if they want it, then great. And if they don't want it, they won't invest. So it's like the
Mhm.
ultimate marketing campaign, right?
Right.
And we raised £17,000. We went straight through our target, which was amazing. And
Yeah.
then we opened the bakery as well. So we're doing sourdoughs, yeasted breads, lots of cruffins, which is like a cross between a cruffin and a croissant and a muffin, rolled in lots of sugar and butter. So, it tastes really, really good. And without my team knowing it, I entered them into Britain's Best Loaf Awards. So we'd only just opened, and I was like, it'll be a nice day out. It's a food event. We'll see other bakeries. We're going to talk about our bread and we'll find out some stuff. And we won. So it was just absolutely amazing that we kind of gone on this whole journey, and we're like a really small town north of Cambridge, which is about sort of 50 minutes from London or so. And this has sort of all happened. But of course, we all love baking, but straight after that sort of award where we were on that kind of high, it came down quite quickly because the cost of living crisis just hit us like a brick. And here in the UK, our energy costs just went through the roof. Bakeries that were paying sort of £1,500 a month for electricity went to paying nearly £10,000. And you just can't make that bottom line. And despite the best efforts, it just wasn't going to be financially viable. So I had to make.
So you moved it online?
Yeah, so I had to make the really difficult decision to close, which was heartbreaking. And, it was such a hub for so many people in the community, and so many people used to come to us and just knew us because that was our whole premise. We were sort of friendly. But I didn't want to lose everything I'd learned, because there was so much I'd learned. And obviously I did it from scratch and I didn't know what I was doing. And there are a lot of people out there that sort of doing home bakeries that don't know where to find support to help them, because I never could find it. I couldn't find anyone that was sort of guiding people. So I now kind of help people with baking businesses or getting started into that world, as well as teaching how to bake, because I just love baking. And I also love business. I love running my own business. So I kind of combine the two to kind of carry on living my passion. So that's where I kind of got to, really.
Well, I love your website. And so again, it's bakingboss.net. Bakingboss.net is Naomi Rose's website. And so I go on there. And again, I was like, I'm going to make something, which I do for my food segments, Naomi. And so I made this scone. Okay, I'm going to show you some pictures. Okay, so it's going to go up on your screen. My son and I decided to do this yesterday together. Here he is. Now, we're in America. I love that you put the conversions in your recipe, although I still had to do some math because it was like, I don't know, like 2.8 something cup of something is, but we tried our best. So here he is cracking the eggs. Now, here is my dough that you told. So I made my son do all the handwork, right? You're like,
Excellent.
rub. This is what the directions said. Rub your flour and your butter till it tastes or it feels like breadcrumbs. I don't know if it felt like breadcrumbs to me. But that's what it looked like. That looks pretty good.
It looks kind of breadcrummy, yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So then this is my dough. Now, this was my other issue, Naomi. I don't know what I did wrong. And I don't know if it's because I'm in America and you're in the UK. Your recipe called for add a little bit of milk, and then you might need a little less or a little more. I needed a lot more milk. And then I felt like I was overworking my dough because I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be working it this hard. But this is what it looked like.
That's about right.
Like. That looks about right. Okay.
That looks right.
We didn't have a cutter, so we were using that glass right there.
Works perfectly well. Yeah, that's how I roll.
So these are my scones before they went in the oven. Do I have the picture? Hold on. I thought I had a picture. Because you said that the cheese is very, very important. You need a mature, they call it a mature cheese. So it needs to age for several years. This was the cheese that I got.
Nice. Seriously sharp.
18 months it's aged. And then I topped it, Naomi, not with that cheese, but with a habanero cheddar because I like spicy and I wanted to really taste it. This is what it looks like when it came out.
They look good.
These are hers. Good. These are yours, Naomi. I mean, yours look really fancy schmancy and really, really delicious.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do, right?
I made a few of them.
So these are mine, and then this is mine. And I'll tell you, I already tried some of them. Very good. I mean, they were, I think, a little dense. So here it is. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see it. It has some butter on it. I think I might have overworked it though. So do you have any advice for me next time?
Yeah, I mean, just when I say add a little milk at a time, it needs a lot less than you think a lot of the time. And roll your dough a bit thicker because I think if you have it the flatter, they will go a bit more dense when they bake. So here in the UK, ours were about that thick. So we'd roll them out to about that thick.
Yeah. See, I thought, well, you said in your recipe 2 centimeters, which isn't very thick. Are they supposed to rise? And then I had to make my own self-rising flour because I don't know, here in America, you can't find self-rising flour. Everything's all-purpose flour. So then I had to find a recipe to make I was trying, Naomi. I tried my best. It is really
They've
good.
come out awesome. They look awesome.
It is yummy. The flavor is there. So now tell me, what did you learn? I mean, I was listening to one of your podcasts and you were talking about reading all of your negative reviews and kind of how it gets in your head. It got in your head so much, Naomi, that you said you crashed your bicycle because you were just so worried and so thinking about it. So, a lot of people are trying new things. Did you have a bit of that imposter syndrome? Like, what the hell do I think I'm doing right now?
Oh, yes, completely. All the way through. I was absolutely terrified of what everyone would think of me all the time to begin with, because, even in my current company, they're like, what are you doing? And they, people come up to you and go, well, I wouldn't do that. That's absolutely mad. So it was very easy to get guided by what everybody else thought. And actually, in some ways, having the accident I had where I fell off my bicycle made me realize I needed to stop worrying about what everybody else think and concentrate on my business, because everybody has different issues in their business. Everyone does different things. And I came to learn over time that actually my business complements other businesses in the town. We work as a unit. And once I began to realize that actually we, as a community, we need variety. It's important for certainly a community like ours, which is quite a small community, and to bring our part of that is super important, as well as other people. Without other businesses, we would still struggle with the same things, and we would probably lose customers because less people would come into the town. So it's all kind of relevant, but mindset was definitely a tricky thing to manage. And particularly, I think being going from like the safety net of a corporate job to suddenly then being your own boss. And I love being my own boss now, but I struggled to begin with of having to have that autonomy of making those decisions.
If you don't take the risks, then you never do anything that's going to be, just amazing. And wow, I can't believe she did that. Right. So it's those people that are scared that, are saying, what is she doing? Is she mad? They're never going to have that feeling of achieving something and setting that goal that kind of, I don't know, makes everything worth it.
Yeah, give it a shot. You never know, right? I mean, obviously you want it to work. So, what advice do you have for people? I mean, when people come to you and say, I want to start my own food business or online business, I mean, what are some of the main things you tell them that they need to do right off the bat?
So I think planning is sort of the key thing. So, I'm not talking about a long-winded business plan, because that's going to sit on a shelf and get dust. So don't do that. But have some clear goals of what you want to achieve, and also what you want to earn at the end of the day. Because if you can't pay your own wage, then your business isn't going to work and you're going to end up resenting it. So I think it's good to look at that numbers. What do you want to achieve with your business and how it's going to fit into your life? And they're the things that I think are really, really important, which I found quite a struggle, certainly towards the end, because obviously it was very much with the cost of living crisis. We're throwing rocks were being thrown at us in a kind of constant chain of events of things. So getting that balance, I think, and understanding what you need for your business, not what someone else needs for their business, but what you need for your business. And then you can work from there and set your own goals and targets and work out how it's going to work for you.
Nice. Now, if people want to reach you, they go to your website and you will work with them. You'll mentor them. You'll give them advice. You also have a book, correct?
I have some downloadable free guides, so you can kind of how to open your cafe or bakery or home baking business, and one for people that have already a business, but they're kind of struggling to know where to take it to the next step, because it's hard when you're in the midst of it and trying to figure out, well, where do I go next? I'm trying to do everything and I can't see the wood for the trees. So I'm here to kind of help people get clarity on what their next steps are with their business as well. So they're all on my website. You can go and download them. And there's also ways that people can work with me and come and connect with me on socials. I'm on I Am Baking Boss on Facebook and Instagram. So come join me there. And I've got a couple of groups as well. So come and join me in those.
I have a question for you, and this might be such an American question. And if it is, I'm sorry.
She's like, I already prepped myself. I'm talking to Americans. It's fine.
It seems like all of the UK is baking, and everyone there is really good at it.
It's
And
the TV
that's
show, right?
because of the sensation, the Great British Baking Challenge. And during the pandemic, my family was so into it. My husband has started baking all of our bread. During the pandemic, I was telling Nikki earlier, there was a rotating tray of treats in the kitchen. He was baking madeleines. He was baking, I don't know, name that, whatever
Spoiled.
treat was on the Great British Baking Show that week, it was in the kitchen. Good and bad, because I mean, I don't need any more help that in the, in the eating department. But it just seems like baking is such a big thing. When that show came out, did it inspire you? Did it sweep across your country? And is everybody now baking their own bread and doing their own thing?
I would say it did. I mean, I watch all the cooking shows. One of my favorites is actually MasterChef Australia. If you get it in
I
the
love
US,
MasterChef. Yes, I love
it's
that show.
amazing. Yeah. So I watch. I'm addicted to that one. But I think we go through phases. I mean, there are definitely people that want to bake and are still learning, and there are definitely people that just won't bake. But yeah, British Bake Off is, it's a great show here in the UK.
Yeah.
So a lot of people do enjoy it, and I believe there's a new series due out soon again. So keep your eyes open for that
so much fun. It is fun to watch. And the thing that always gets me is, how do people have all of these recipes just in their head that they remember? I'm like, I don't know. Like, they're like, oh, I have my bread recipe, or I have my scone recipe, or whatever.
You want me to make a what? What is it that I'm supposed to make?
I have a spaghetti sauce recipe in my head. That's pretty much the end of it. Everything else I have to follow online. But Naomi, I really appreciate you coming on. Again, Naomi Rose, bakingboss.net. Go check it out. You also have a YouTube channel. So you can go subscribe to that. And she talks about the business and all of the obstacles that she's encountered, gives great advice. Naomi Rose, bakingboss.net. Go check her out. And thank you so much for coming on. We really do appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me. I hope you have a great day.
We will. Thank you so much.